My beloved child, there are warnings that come to you not to frighten you, but to awaken you before the quiet things within become too heavy. I do not speak to you in anger, nor do I draw near as someone waiting only to point out your faults. I come as a father comes beside a child who is drifting away from the healthy rhythm of life that has been given to them. I see what you have not yet fully seen. I see the consequences still hidden beneath busyness, beneath the words you use to reassure yourself, beneath the habit of postponing what you think you can still endure a little longer. But my child, there are things that, if you keep ignoring them, will not disappear. They will only grow quietly in hidden places, until one day you must stop, not because you want to, but because you no longer have the strength to continue as before. I know that recently you have walked through days in which you have not been gentle with yourself. You have pushed your body beyond its limits, allowed your mind to run endlessly through old paths of anxiety, and ignored the small signals I placed within you like soft bells, reminding you, rest, eat with care, breathe more slowly, return to me. You heard the weariness, but you pushed it aside. You felt the emptiness, but filled it with something else. You realized your heart was no longer clear, yet still told yourself that if you tried just a little more, everything would be fine. My beloved, I do not blame you for being tired. I simply do not want you to call exhaustion normal. I do not want you to confuse enduring too long with faithfulness. There is divine wisdom in knowing when to stop, because stopping is not failure many times. It is the first step of restoration. Your first great mistake was not only that you forgot to care for your health, but that you forgot your life is a gift I gave in love. You have treated yourself as though you were only someone who must accomplish, carry burdens, prove yourself, and always be present for everything except the very life breathing within you. But I did not create you so that you would burn yourself out until nothing remained. I gave you this body as a precious dwelling place, a vessel shaped with care, a home through which you can love, serve, create, walk, and receive grace each day. When you neglect that home, you do not only become tired, you gradually lose the ability to hear my voice clearly, because exhaustion often distorts every sound, even the gentlest words. Remember the story of Moses, when he sat judging the people from morning until evening, carrying every great and small matter alone until his father-in-law Jethro saw it and advised him not to continue that way. What Moses was doing appeared noble, devoted, and for the sake of others. But if it had continued, it would have worn him down and exhausted the people as well. I used that wise counsel to remind him to share the burden, to reorder things, and to understand that being called does not mean one person must carry everything alone. My beloved, you also need to hear that lesson. Not everything you are holding was truly assigned to you by me. Not every responsibility you are carrying belongs to your portion. Not every outward call deserves to take away your inner strength. There are things you need to release, not because you lack love, but because you are learning to love with order and wisdom. I have spoken to you many times through very small signs. An ache should not be taken lightly. A heavy breath should not be ignored. A lingering uneasiness should not be covered with a hurried smile. Restless sleep, careless meals, a day when you no longer want to meet yourself in silence, all of these may be gentle knocks at the door, inviting you to return to caring for what I have entrusted to you. I am not telling you to fear every time your body is tired. I am telling you to listen with respect. Your body is not your enemy. It is not fighting against you. It is speaking to you. It is asking you to slow down, asking you not to continue using pressure to control it, asking you not to remember it only when it is already exhausted. And in those voices, there is my mercy, because I want you to be preserved before it is too late. But there is something even deeper. My beloved, you have not only ignored your body, you have also ignored the sincere whisper from within. There were times when I reminded you to leave a habit, to stop a bond that was draining you, to lay down a choice that was no longer pure, to return to prayer before making a decision. But you delayed. You said, later. You said, not yet. You said, I still have it under control. But do you know this? Many things that wound you do not begin with one great fall. They begin with the times you ignore a small light. One moment of neglect may not make you collapse. But if you keep repeating that neglect, it becomes a path. And that path will lead you somewhere you never wanted to go. That is why I call you back now. Not to frighten you, but so you may turn in time. Within grace, do not let shame cause you to hide from me. When you realize you have been wrong, run toward me, not away from me. I do not give warnings so you will be crushed by guilt. I give warnings so you may be rescued from what is quietly wearing you down. There is a great difference between my voice and the voice of condemnation. Condemnation says that you are too late, that you are no longer worthy, that you are nothing but a failure. But I say, rise, wash your face, drink water, rest, reorder your rhythm of life. Choose what is good in one small step today. Condemnation drives you into darkness. My reminder opens the door for you to step into the light. Learn to discern this, because I never heal you by making you despise yourself. From today, I want you to take simple but genuine steps. Return to sleep as a covenant of trust, because when you sleep, you confess that I am still watching over your life. Return to meals as an act of gratitude, because life needs to be nourished, not merely commanded. Walk for a while in silence, not to achieve anything, but to hear your own breathing again and remember that I am near. Pause before answering too quickly, before taking on another burden, before allowing emotion to carry you far from peace. Practice asking me, does this nourish me? Does this lead me closer to you? Does this make me shine more brightly in truth? These small questions will become like lamps placed along the road, helping you not to follow old habits unconsciously. My beloved, the consequences of neglect do not always come like a great storm. Sometimes they come as a gradual cooling, as joy diminishes little by little, as strength drains day by day, as the ability to hope becomes faint. But my grace can also begin quietly in the same way. One healthy choice, one timely rest, one short but honest prayer, one time you say no to what is beyond your portion, one time you forgive yourself and begin again. I do not demand that you change everything in one day. I invite you to turn your direction today, and when the direction is right, each small step will mean more than you imagine. So listen to me with a soft heart. Do not see this warning as a whip, but receive it as the hand of a father pulling you away from the edge of a cliff. I love you too much to stay silent while you are wearing yourself down. I cherish the life within you too much to let you trade it for old habits, unnecessary pressures, and voices that do not come from me. Return to a cleaner, slower, wiser rhythm of life. Care for your body as you would care for a sacred gift. Listen to the small inner reminders as you would listen to an early morning bell calling you back to the light. I am here, not far, not cold, not turning my face away. I stand beside you in this new beginning. And if you place your hand in mine, I will teach you step by step how to live again more fully, peacefully, and beautifully. My beloved child, let gratitude become the quiet breath within every day of your life. Not only when all things are favorable, not only when doors open, not only when your requests are answered in the way you hoped, but also in the hours when you are still waiting. For thanksgiving is not the voice of someone who has never suffered. It is the response of a heart that has learned to believe that I am still good, even in the midst of what is not yet clear. When you know how to give thanks, you do not deny the trial, pretend that pain does not exist, or force yourself to smile at what makes you weary. You are simply placing everything beneath my light and declaring quietly that circumstances are not the Lord of your life. Fear is not permitted to rule your heart, and darkness has no right to speak the final word over the journey on which I am leading you. I want you to understand that thanksgiving has the power to turn the direction of your heart. When you look only at what is still lacking, your heart easily closes in anxiety. When you count only what has not yet come to pass, your mind is easily swept into disappointment. But when you begin to recognize the small graces I still give each day, your eyes will become bright again. A peaceful breath in the midst of confusion is also a gift. A day when you still have enough strength to rise is also grace. A kind person passing through your life at the right time is also a sign. A quiet protection from something you could not see is also my love at work. There are blessings you recognize immediately, but there are also blessings that only come into view when you look back and understand that I preserved you through so many turns where you thought you were walking alone. Do not think that thanksgiving is only a few beautiful words on the lips. If it is born from faith, it becomes a lamp in the hidden places. It restores order within you. It reminds you of whom you belong to. It causes your mind to stop chasing every threatening voice and brings your heart back beneath my covering. When you give thanks in adversity, you are telling the storms that they have no right to define you. When you praise me before you see the result, you are sowing a seed of trust into soil that human eyes call barren. When you bow your heart in gratitude, you open a wide space for my peace to enter, not loudly, not for display, but deeply enough to carry you through things you once thought you could not endure. Remember the story of Paul and Silas in the prison. They were not in a pleasant place, not surrounded by outward safety, and there was no visible sign that their circumstances would change immediately. Their feet were bound. Their bodies were in pain. Darkness surrounded them, yet praise still rose from them. They did not sing because the chains were light. They sang because the one they trusted was greater than the chains. And then, while praise rang out in a place that seemed hopeless, the prison foundations shook, the doors opened, and the bonds were loosened. My beloved, I do not tell you this story so you will think that every time you give thanks, every door will open in the exact way you have planned. I want you to see something deeper. When your heart abides in me, even a place of confinement cannot imprison your faith. Praise may begin in the darkness, but it always turns you toward the light. Therefore, when you pray, do not pray like someone abandoned, trying to call into empty space. Pray like a child speaking to their father. I hear every word. I understand even the sighs that have not yet become sentences. I see the tears that fall in silence. No honest request is lost before me. There are things I answer through outward change, and there are things I first answer through transformation within you. There are doors I open immediately, and there are doors I hold back because what lies behind them is not yet good for you. There are delays that do not mean I have forgotten, but that I am preparing you, preparing the circumstances, and preparing things you cannot yet see. In all of this, thanksgiving helps you not to lose trust when time stretches longer than you hoped. Live as one covered by my love, not as one constantly afraid of being separated from me by a curse, an event, a mistake, or a battle. No darkness is stronger than my light. No evil word holds greater authority than the word of love I have placed over your life. No trial has enough power to tear you from my hand when you continue to return and remain in my guidance. You may have days when your heart is weak, moments when you are weary, times when your prayers contain more tears than words. But that does not remove you from my love. You are still my beloved child. You are still called by name. You are still being kept. You can still rise and continue walking in grace. Do not allow what opposes you to make you forget what I have spoken over you. I do not want you to live forever in a defensive posture, as though your whole life were only a battle against what is evil. I want you to live in the fullness of one who knows they are loved. When you give thanks, you do not only resist fear, you also nourish joy. When you pray, you do not only ask to be rescued, you are also drawn nearer into my presence. When you praise, you do not only declare victory, you also allow your heart to be joined with the peace of heaven. Your life is not defined only by what you overcome, but also by the love you learn to receive, the light you learn to carry, and the faithfulness you learn to hold on to in each small step. I am working in what you see and also in what you do not yet see. I am straightening what has become crooked. I am softening the places that have grown hardened. I am opening ways in areas that seem blocked. I am using even the things you do not understand to weave a good outcome for you. This does not mean everything that happens is pleasant, nor does it mean every wound is good in itself. But in my hands, nothing is wasted. I can turn tears into wisdom, waiting into depth, trials into gentle strength, and the place that once made you tremble into evidence that I was with you. So, my beloved, continue walking with gratitude. Let thanksgiving go before you like a fragrance rising in the morning. Let prayer uphold you while the road is still long. Let praise keep your eyes from sinking into darkness. Whether today you are in a season of waiting, a season of battle, a season of healing, or a season of beginning again, I am still with you. I do not leave you halfway down the road. I do not forget the words you have spoken to me. I do not abandon what you have placed in my hands. Trust that I am leading all things toward life, restoration, and deep peace. And when you no longer know what to say, begin with one small word of thanks. From that thanksgiving, light will find its way back into you. My beloved child, let the faith within you be more than a passing thought. Let it become a hidden spring flowing beneath every day of your life. When you look ahead and see limitations, worries, unmet needs, and desires lying still like seeds beneath dry ground, do not quickly conclude that I have forgotten you. There are seasons when your eyes see only dust, yet my hand is hiding a stream beneath it. There are days when you think your life is like a desert without the sound of rain. But I still know how to make flowers bloom where others see only barrenness. You do not live by outward convenience. You live by the source of life I have placed within you. And that source is not exhausted by circumstances, not made poor by seasons of waiting, not blocked by the things for which you do not yet have answers. I want you to understand that my blessing is not as small as you often imagine. You tend to measure my care by what you are holding in your hands, by what has already happened, by signs you can see and verify. But my love is wider than your vision, deeper than your calculations, and more enduring than every season of change. There are things I give that do not come in the form you expected, but they are exactly what you truly need. There are delays that are not meant to disappoint you, but to protect you from receiving something before it is mature. There are doors that seem closed, but behind those doors, I am keeping you from a path that would wear you down. Trust that I am not stingy toward you. I do not stand far away and silently watch you lack. I am Father, and my heart is always inclined toward you in kindness. When you face trials, do not see them as proof that you have been abandoned. A trial is not always the end. Often it is the place where I reshape your vision, deepen the roots of faith, and teach you to distinguish between what is temporary and what is eternal. Some difficulties will show you that your own strength has limits, but my grace does not. There are moments when you think you have reached the end of the road, yet it is there that I open a way you had never imagined. I do not make every trial pleasant, but I can keep them from being meaningless. In my hands, tears can become wisdom, waiting can become depth, loss can make way for something purer, and silent months can become the soil where new life begins to grow. Remember the story of Ruth, the woman who walked through loss, left her homeland, and departed from what was familiar in order to go with Naomi on a road with very few guarantees. If viewed with natural eyes, her journey looked poor and fragile. She entered a new land with empty hands, carrying quiet loyalty and humble faithfulness. But I saw her. I saw every step in the grain fields, every stalk she gathered in weariness, every loving choice no one applauded. And then, from an ordinary field, I opened a story of restoration. From the leftover grain, I wove a future greater than she could have imagined. My beloved, I want you to recognize this. I can use very small things in your hands to begin a very great blessing. I can meet you in ordinary work, in quiet days, in the places where you think you are merely trying to get through life. Therefore, do not despise the seasons when you have only a little. Do not be ashamed, because you are beginning with small things. Do not think abundance comes only when everything outwardly is perfect. I can place abundance in your gratitude before I place it in your hands. I can make you rich in peace before your circumstances change. I can teach you to live with an open heart even before you see every storehouse filled. My provision is not only the things you receive, but also the ability to recognize me in what you already have. A day that still has light, a person who still loves you sincerely, a small opportunity to begin again, a reminder in your heart that keeps you from giving up. All of these are traces of my care spread along your path. The things I have done for my people through the ages are not merely ancient stories for you to hear and then forget. They are lamps placed along the journey, reminding you that I am still the one who opens a way, still the one who nourishes, still the one who turns the impossible into a place where grace is revealed. When the sea blocks the way ahead, I can open a path. When the wilderness has no food, I can give bread from heaven. When the jar of oil seems nearly empty, I can cause it to keep flowing enough to sustain a family through danger. When a fortress seems impossible to shake, I can cause it to fall in a way human beings cannot explain by their own strength. Let those sacred memories lift your vision above your present lack. Do not allow one difficult season to make you forget an entire history of faithfulness. I do not want you to ask only for small things because you think I can only work within the limits of your understanding. I also do not want you to turn faith into impatient demands, as though you had the right to force me to move according to your schedule. I want you to believe in a more mature way. Believe that I am good. Believe that I am wise. Believe that I know what truly brings life to you. Believe that none of my promises are lost in the flow of time. Faith is not forcing me to follow your will. Faith is allowing your heart to rest in mine, even when you do not yet understand the whole road. When you learn to believe this way, your heart will expand. You will no longer panic at every delay. No longer compare your blessing with someone else's. No longer think that because you do not see it, I am not working. Let your heart become like soil watered by hope. Do not allow negative words, memories of failure, or old fears to sow thorns in the place where I want flowers to bloom. Care for your faith with thanksgiving. Protect your peace by returning to me each day. Open your hands. not only to receive, but also to release the things that leave no room in your hands for new grace. There are blessings that cannot be placed into hands, tightly gripping resentment. There are restorations that cannot enter a heart that keeps condemning itself. There are new seasons that cannot begin while you still call the old land the only place you deserve to remain. I am causing you to grow, and that growth will make room for the things I want to give. There will come a day when you look back and understand that I did not waste a single part of your journey. On the day you thought you were being delayed, I was preserving you. On the day you thought you were forgotten, I was preparing something hidden. On the day you thought your prayer had fallen to the ground, I had heard it and was answering in a way wiser than you knew. You will see that my love does not fade when circumstances change. You will see that my promise is not weakened by the passing of time. You will see that everything I allowed, everything I prevented, and everything I opened was being placed within a plan far beyond your brief vision. So keep walking, my beloved, with open faith. Look at the desert and still expect flowers to bloom. Look at your empty hands and still know that I can fill them. Look at the trial and still remember that it has no authority higher than my love for you. I am the one who nourishes you in dry places, shelters you in the hot wind, and leads you to water at the right time. No material limitation can restrain my kindness. No temporary season can erase an eternal promise. Let your heart rest in me, because I am working in what you see and in what you do not yet see. And when the beautiful time comes, you will understand that my blessing does not come only to fill your hands, but also to make your heart shine again with faith, gratitude, and unfading peace. There are people who will try to run from the truth when everything begins to shake. Some will lean on the voice of the crowd. Some will seek safety in fleeting promises. And some will lose themselves just to cling to a temporary feeling of stability. But you stand firm in my presence. Standing firm does not mean you never tremble. Standing firm means that even while trembling, you do not turn your back on the light. Standing firm is not pretending to be strong before everyone. Standing firm is knowing how to kneel before me, so that from that place of humility, you may be lifted by a strength that does not come from you. I do not require you to be hard as stone. I want you to be soft in my hands, yet steadfast in faith. Gentle in the way you love, yet not easily swept along by darkness. Humble, yet not losing the calling I have placed upon your life. You have been called by name, and that is not a small word. I do not call you as one would call a stranger in a crowd. I know you in every hidden fear, every unspoken desire, every wound you have tried to hide, every day when you thought you no longer had enough strength. And because I know you, I also know what I have placed within you. When the world shakes, do not forget your identity. You belong to me. You do not belong to threats. You do not belong to voices that make you panic. You do not belong to the past that once made you doubt your worth. You belong to the love that called you out of darkness, held you in the days of discouragement, and covered you with long-lasting mercy. Therefore, do not let the storm make you forget your true name in me. There will be times when the storm becomes a point of separation, not because I love one person more than another, but because each heart must see where it truly stands. Some foundations are only revealed when they are shaken. Some faith is only known, whether rooted or merely spoken, when it is tested. Some choices only reveal true love when they are no longer easy. Do not fear that hour of distinction. If you see weakness within yourself, bring it to me. If you see that your faith is still small, place it in my hands. If you see any part of you still clinging to what is not good, allow me to cleanse it with gentleness and truth. I do not wait for you to be perfect before leading you through the storm. I lead you through the storm so you may learn that My grace is enough even for the unfinished parts of you. And when everything around you seems chaotic, keep an altar of thanksgiving within you. Give thanks, not because the storm is pleasant, but because I am still present. Pray not as someone abandoned, but as a child holding the Father's hand in the dark. Slow your breathing and remember that you do not need to react according to the rhythm of the world's fear. You can walk slowly but firmly. You can be silent without being weak. You can wait without despairing. You may not know the whole road, but you can still know that the one who leads the way is faithful. It is in that holy calm that you will become a sign to others that there is a refuge the wind cannot sweep away, a love that cannot be shaken, and a power that still reigns when everything outwardly seems to have lost its order. My beloved, do not see the storm as a sentence over your life. See it as the season in which I am making you deeper, cleaner, and stronger. What does not belong to you will be carried away by the wind, but what I have sown will remain. Layers of fear will fall, but true faith will shine. False things may collapse, but what is built in me will stand. And when the storm passes, you will not return exactly as you were before. You will come forth with eyes that have learned to look beyond the waves, with a heart that knows how to rely on me more than on favorable circumstances, with a voice that carries greater peace in a world easily shaken by panic. I have chosen you, called you, kept you, and I will continue to lead you. Stand firm, not because you never face the wind, but because I am your Father, and I still reign over every storm.